Other groups are concerned with certain things included in this bill as well. Notably, gun lobbyists have been voicing their concerns over a provision listed in the bill about silencers specifically, and another demand that's being dragged out to stop the taxation and registration of AR-15 style pistols. So on Monday, the House Ways and Means Committee announced it would strip a $200 tax on the sale of silencers, but would still require sale approval and registration by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the ATF. And this rightfully angered gun groups that have been pushing for a long time now for an end to the registration requirement, and some are even calling it a betrayal. Here with reaction is Aidan Johnston, the Director of Federal Affairs for Gun Owners of America. Aidan, thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you for having me on, and I think you said it really well. Gun owners are facing a betrayal by Republicans on the Ways and Means Committee, and we've got to turn this around right now.
Yes, so please, I want to get your first thoughts. Why is this even an issue? After all the ATF abuses we saw under the Biden regime, I would think there would be a huge push to reverse all of those, and yet we're still debating this and fighting over it. So what do you make of that, Aidan?
Look, Republicans ran on undoing gun control and restoring our Second Amendment rights. And this budget reconciliation process provides a unique opportunity for Congress to strike the unconstitutional National Firearms Act taxes placed on suppressors and short-barreled firearms. In fact, that short-barreled firearm part is really important because President Biden weaponized it to ban up to 40 million pistol braces. And yet, what did the Ways and Means Committee do with this reconciliation bill? They cut all of that out and they decided we're going to protect gun registration. We're going to protect fingerprinting and mandatory wait periods. This 1934 assault weapon ban-like law, we're going to keep it in place, and we're just going to reduce the tax from $200 to $0. That was their intent. But surprisingly enough, they didn't even know what they were doing, and they forgot and left half of the $200 tax still in place. It's really a betrayal.
It is. The first thing I would say, number one, we've drifted so far away from what the founders of this country wanted in terms of the Second Amendment. We all have a God-given right to defend ourselves, our lives, our families, our property. That's clear. And to see any infringement upon that makes me very nervous across the board, regardless of the administration doing it. But secondly, when it comes to this specific issue, it's concerning because a lot of Republicans going into November made it seem like they were absolutists on this issue and they were going to do what you said, but then they just moved the goalpost past the election. I just want to understand what the underlying motive is here because it's really frustrating and it does feel like we're being backstabbed a little bit.
Well, I will say that some representatives like Congressman Andrew Clyde and Congressman Eric Burleson have been fighting for the Second Amendment, have been voicing their concerns with this compromise. But then others like Chairman Jason Smith and Representative David Kustoff have compromised and are fighting to protect the registration of the National Firearms Act. There's this debate that they're having as to whether or not the provision will survive in the Byrd rule in the Senate. And the answer lies in the nature of the NFA. The NFA is a tax on your Second Amendment right, and it's unconstitutional. And even the Supreme Court in 1937 said that the NFA is primarily a tax. So that answers the question as to whether or not the Byrd rule applies. The NFA is a tax, therefore this is a budgetary measure, therefore we can take care of the whole thing and fully strike suppressors and short-barreled firearms from the NFA using budget reconciliation.
The other point here is it's obviously this would empower the ATF. I'm just trying to figure out why anyone in Congress would want to do that at this point. It's proven to be such a rogue agency. We definitely saw that under Biden, the way they went after gun retailers, gun owners, gun manufacturers, including veterans, time and time and time again. And they got away with it all, Aidan, completely. There was no accountability for it, no recourse whatsoever. Now we have a golden opportunity to make it right, and it just seems like we're kind of blowing that.
I think that's absolutely right. GOA is fighting to repeal the NFA here, but then these Republicans in Congress are fighting for gun registration. They're fighting to keep the ATF gun regulations on suppressors and on your firearms. I mean, who cares whether or not how short your barrel is, whether it has to be 16 inches or less, whether you have a pistol brace or a stock on your gun. This is your constitutional right. The founding fathers, like you said earlier, they'd be rolling in their graves if they knew what Congress was doing right now.
Completely. Well, and one thing I want to ask you about as well, a lot of these rules and regulations, they don't seem to be data-driven at all. It just seems so arbitrary and manufactured. That's why I think we should just get rid of most of them. But what do you think about that? Because the ATF just issues edicts with whatever administration's in the White House, and what the American people are just supposed to deal with it? It's asinine to me.
Yeah, suppressors are hardly ever used in crimes. There are millions of them in common use right now.
Yes.
This is a
Great
hearing
point.
protection tool to protect gun owners, whether they're out hunting and they can't use hearing protection, whether they're in a home defense situation, they just need to grab their gun quickly. And then also, short-barreled firearms are also very helpful for home defense in a tight hallway. So, Congress has got to take care of this. These are not used primarily in crimes. In fact, the people that own short-barreled firearms and suppressors are some of the most law-abiding citizens that are out there. And we've just got to get rid of this unconstitutional gun control.
Okay. So at this point, clearly there's an upheaval a little bit, rightfully so. I just wonder if it's going to be effective because they want to pass this bill by Memorial Day, and that's just around the corner. So final question for you, Aidan. Do you think that with enough pressure, we can correct course here?
I do. I think this is totally fixable. And I think if you're a viewer watching and you want to see something done, then call your congressman, call the Speaker of the House, call the White House, and ask them to insert this fix into the bill. We've got to strike suppressors. We've got to strike short-barreled firearms from the NFA. I think there are multiple chances to fix this bill at the Budget Committee, at the Rules Committee, and with the Senate. And if enough people demand this, then your politicians are going to listen. They're going to hear it.
Okay, I completely agree with you. And Aidan, by the way, thank you for all the great work your organization does because clearly it's very needed and extremely important.
Thank you for having me on. This is a very important topic, and we're glad to see you covering it.
Absolutely.